Hi, welcome to SufiVoice.com. My name is A. Jahangir, and today we are going to discuss about conscious and subconscious mind. Before getting into the topic of conscious and subconscious mind, often people ask the difference between a brain and mind. Are they same? Is there any difference between the brain and mind? So let us see. If we have a brain, okay, brain is the physical component, okay, physical brain is a physical structure, okay, like you have this body, the whole body is covered up by the skin. In the similar manner, brain is the physical component, okay, and whatever the responses or whatever the feelings and emotions which brain understands becomes the mind. So we often hear people using the word, were you not mindful of this? Means, what does it mean? It means, were you not aware of this? Okay, now when we talk about brain is the physical structure, physical, a part in our body, and the activity that happens in the brain, and the result of it will form the mind. Let us take an example. A small needle, if it pricks our toe, okay, a small needle, if it pricks our toe, then what happens? Immediately the message is transferred from our toe to the leg, and from the leg it goes up to the brain. Now once inside the brain you have neurons, and these neurons tell that something is wrong with your toe, and immediately our mind tells us that there is a needle that has pricked your toe. Remove that needle. Now brain will just process the information, and mind is something that knows what to do and takes an action. Okay, now we often see people talking about conscious and subconscious mind. So this becomes very important for us to understand the difference between the conscious and subconscious mind. What is a conscious mind and what is a subconscious mind? As we have just discussed, when we come across an incident or an event or an accident, we form our emotions, and these emotions are stored in our brain, and our mind tells us what to do and what not to do in different situations. So let us first look at what is a conscious mind. Conscious mind is something which we perceive from the outside environment. Okay, now we have five senses in our body. Each one of us has five senses. These five senses are called as gateways of knowledge. Why? Like you have eyes. We look through our eyes, and whatever we see, we send that message to the brain, and the mind tells us what the thing is. Okay, so the message is transmitted through our eyes to the brain, and in the brain the mind decides whether is a pleasant vision or unpleasant vision. In the same way, we have tongue, and on the tongue there are taste buds. Now, if you put in a sweet in your mouth, the taste buds sense it as a sweet and send a signal to the brain. And the brain, with some chemical activities, with responsible neurons activity in the brain, it understands it as either delicious or, if it is not pleasant, to us. Now, do we work only in always the conscious or present activities? Everything that is happening inside our body is happening with our presence, with our consciousness? Perhaps not. Why or how? Like, have you ever wondered, are we giving any instruction for our respiratory system to control our breath? No. Are we giving any instruction to our heart how many times to beat? No. So this or involuntary system means there is something other than beyond the brain's activity, beyond the conscious mind, that an unconscious mind functions. So unconscious mind controls of all the things like your heartbeat, the way your internal organs function, and it is very fast, very fast and very powerful. So we have a conscious mind and we have a subconscious mind. Now subconscious mind is very powerful when compared to conscious mind. Now, do we have access to subconscious mind consciously? Means directly we don't have, but whatever conscious mind tells, subconscious mind will do it. It may be a little confusing, but I try to simplify it. Okay, let us think of a garden, and in that garden there is a gardener whose work is to sow seeds. Now here, gardener is our conscious mind. Okay, and the soil is the subconscious mind. Soil is the subconscious mind. Now let us take the seeds as our thoughts. If a gardener takes a good seed and sows it in the garden. So what is garden here? Subconscious mind. And what is the job of the gardener? To take care of his plants. So he will sow the seed and he will water the seed. Now here the garden is not at all aware of what type of seed is given to it. Garden is not at all aware of what type of seed is given to it. It just seasons, it just nourishes the seed which is put inside it. Okay, now what is the job of a gardener, conscious mind? To put seeds in the garden. Now if the gardener puts in good seeds and nourishes them, it will turn out to be a very good yield. On the contrary, if the gardener puts in the seed which is not going to give any good fruit, then the yield will also not be fruitful. Isn't it? Now, what is important here? The role of gardener is important. It is the gardener who should take care to sow only good seeds, so that the ultimate product out of the seeds is good. The other thing which we can understand here is the conscious mind, that is the gardener, has the power to discriminate between a good seed and a bad seed. Wherein the soil cannot discriminate whether the seed is good or bad. It's something like what you sow, so you reap. It will just nourish whatever seed you put in, whatever the gardener puts in it. It is nowhere bothered whether the seed is good or bad. Okay, now let us take the same example that happens in our body, inside us. Now, just now we have discussed that we have a conscious mind and subconscious mind. As the gardener, the conscious mind has the power to discriminate between good and bad. And subconscious mind will just implement whatever the instruction that is given to it from the conscious mind. It will not raise a question, or it will not use any logic. It just blindly follows the orders given by the conscious mind to the subconscious mind. This is a very important concept to understand, and not only just understand, to implement it in our day-to-day life. I will tell you how. If someone is very positive, he looks at all the things around him in a positive way. Means his thoughts are always positive. So he will sow only positive thoughts, and the same positive thoughts will be sent to the subconscious mind. And since the thoughts are positive and the subconscious mind is very powerful, the end result will also be good. To make the concept a bit more simple, I would like to share with you a small story. Once a wise man and his young disciple were traveling through a jungle, and it was a very dense and wild jungle. Most of the people at that time warned them and said that it is not safe to walk or move through the jungle. But the seasoned wisdom monk said that he had been through the jungle for many times and he never had any untoward incident. It is safe to walk through this jungle, and they started the journey. Now, the monk was very confident and his conscious mind was very clear that nothing will happen to them. But somewhere in the mind of the young disciple, there cropped a negative thought. And the negative thought was, what if there is really a wild animal in the jungle? Then our lives will be in great threat. We have to lose our lives. So when this thought was going on in his mind, the wisdom master monk noticed that and corrected his thought process. He said, see, I have been through this jungle many times. Don't worry about it. Drop your negative thoughts. Drop your negative thoughts. Will be very hale and healthy. We are completely safe. And they gradually started moving inside the jungle. And when they were moving through the jungle, after a while, they heard a roar of lion in the distance. Now, once again, the young disciple recollected the words of villagers that the place was not at all safe. Then he said to his master, see, can't you hear the roar of the lion? This place is no more safe. Let us go back to the village. Then the wise master said, it is in very distance. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Let's continue our journey. And they started on their journey. After a while, once again, the roar of the lion was heard, and now it was more audible. Means the lion had started moving towards them. Then again, the young disciple shouted, see, why don't you listen? Our life is in threat. Let us stop this journey and go back to the village. We can move on some other day. This time, the young monk shouted, you better drop your negative thought. Still, it is in very distant place. We can't see it. Why do you worry about the lion? Drop your thought and let us first continue our journey. Then again, after a while, they could notice the bushes in the jungle moving. Now, the disciples started crying. And he said to his master, because of you, I am going to have untimely death today. See, it is now very close. We cannot save our life from this wild animal. Then, once again, the monk corrected the young disciple, consoled him, and said, don't worry, we'll be safe. Keep a positive bent of mind. Forget about the wild animal and let us continue our journey. After a little more, they could see the lion before their eyes. Now, the disciples said, see, you were telling like this place was completely safe. Now we have a lion and we are going to die for sure. Then the monk said, first we need to save our life. So they had to climb a tree, make them secure on the tree, and they have to wait for hours until the next day, and when the sun rises again, the animal goes off. And the wise monk said these words. It is your negative thought that had pulled the lion, which was sick, to move from its den, which was from some kilometers away. It was not the capacity of the lion which brought it here. It is your negative thought. It is your firm belief that we are going to die in the hands of wild animal, forced it or gave it the energy to come close to us. If you had never given a strong thought that your life is in risk, you would have been safe. Then the young monk understood the power of thought process. So, today's takeaway is, don't worry about negative thoughts. Try to replace your negative thoughts with positive ones. So what happens if you always think positive? Your conscious mind will be filled up with positive thoughts. And the subconscious mind works on the positive thoughts. So the more positive thoughts you have, the more the subconscious